So I just watched the interview with the Tesla guy, Elon Musk, interviewed by Joe Rogan or someone, I don't know, smoking pot in the interview and all that stuff. But yeah, watching that interview just sort of brought home the extent that that we in the Western world adhere to this idea of physicalism. Just hearing Elon Musk going on about uploading our consciousness onto computers in the future and all that kind of stuff. And of course the interviewer agreeing and saying, yeah, it's only a matter of time, and everyone says the same thing. It's only a matter of time before we're able to upload our consciousness onto a computer. And of course that's it's an interesting, as anyone looking at the psychology of how we operate, it's very interesting to see that idea of immortality hasn't really gone away. It's sort of still in the back of our motivations, really, is the want for immortality and the idea of maybe science can somehow help us achieve that in the future. And it's amazing really how just this whole culture you see on the internet. Hang on, the dog's got an ant on his leg. Just the whole culture you see on the internet these days, that materialistic idea, the physicalistic idea of how we're able to achieve this immortality, which I find quite interesting. That idea really hasn't gone away. That motivation hasn't really gone anywhere. And really, it's people living in this in their minds. Really, people living in thought of what could be, of the future, and also the beehive idea of, well, we're a collective, and let's try to think of ways now to help future generations be able to survive, and somehow we as individuals will survive on within the collective, which is also another very strange idea. So yeah, these days on the internet, at least in that top 20% of the world that thinks like this, these days, yeah, you see a lot of physicalism. And people just adhering to this idea, and not really. I don't think that people are particularly serious about it. I just think they sort of think, oh yeah, well, that'd be nice, and they don't really pay much attention to it. Really, they just sort of assume, well, these smart scientists must be right, and yeah, won't it be cool in the future when we will be able to upload our consciousness onto a computer and not have to worry about death. But yeah, Elon Musk said an interesting thing. He said Darwinism isn't going away, and I thought that was quite interesting, because Elon Musk is sort of the represents in a way the aspirations of a lot of people these days. The way he thinks, people look up to how he thinks, and he thinks like a typical physicalist. And of course, him saying that Darwinism isn't going away kind of highlights that more than anything, which I think is ridiculous, this idea that we've, you know, in the last couple of 100 years we've hit on the basic understanding of everything and it won't change ever. It's just ridiculous. I mean, he even said in the same interview that we've only really had a history of 8,000 years, which is nothing, and I agree, it's nothing. It's tiny. So when you think 1,000 years from now, it's ridiculous to believe that we'll be going around with the idea of Darwinism still applying to the way we think. It's just ridiculous. Everything will change in the future. Dog's getting a bit angry. You can hear something over there. Shut up, dog. Sit down. Oh, sit down. Yeah, I was thinking of, I guess, talking about how on earth I came round to my ideas and how my ideas became so different to, I guess, mainstream Western ideals that we stick to these days. The dog just got bitten again by an ant. Up he comes onto my lap again. I mean, I started off, as a lot of people do, I guess, you know, with this watered down idea of spiritualism, this idea that there was a path out there for me somehow, and yeah, so I started out, you know, I read some of these books by people like Wayne Dyer and people like that, New Age type self-help gurus. It's actually interesting, I was thinking about Wayne Dyer the other day and how he died not that long ago. Actually, he died, you know, some sort of cancer. And when you look on the internet for a reaction to Wayne Dyer's death, it's just the usual stuff, you know, dear, it's a sad loss, we've lost a great man. Yeah, Jesus Christ.